December 9th, 2016. Most of you have seen the videos that are going around in the different web articles about what's called the Purple Revolution. And it started this particular incident with Hillary and Bill wearing purple on the day after she lost the election. She came in with that speech, and they were very somber and definitely in purple, both of them. And now she's reappeared with purple in the speech that we saw yesterday. But let's look at that, because I think that the mainstream and many people have missed the point here. And it's very important, and by the time I'm through with the video, you may understand why we saw such patience with our law enforcement during the protest after the election, the anti-Trump protest, and you may have a much greater appreciation of the law enforcement patience. I mean, there were some arrests that had to be. There was too much violence and looting and busting windows and things like that. But it was very controlled. Now, again, they're calling the Purple Revolution. And one thing I've noticed, and I may not be the only one, but if you go to Google or say and search for Purple Revolution, you'll see many websites and many articles, but they all have the same information. It almost, they're verbatim, if not copied. And you see that before, but in this particular one, the entire first page is the same article talking about the Purple Revolution. It never goes into too much detail, but again, I think they missed the point. But it goes into this, if you look at color revolution, it's called color revolutions. It's a term that was widely used by worldwide media to describe various related movements that developed in several societies in the former Soviet Union and the Balkans during the 2000s. The term has been applied to a number of revolutions elsewhere, including in the Middle East. Some observers have called the events a revolutionary wave. Arab Spring, we've seen waves also, the origins of which can be traced back to the 1986 People Power Revolution, also known as the Yellow Revolution in the Philippines, and it comes from demonstrations against governments. Participants in the color revolutions have mostly used nonviolent resistance, also called civil resistance. Such methods as demonstrations, strikes, and interventions have been intended protest against governments seen as corrupt and or authoritarian, and to advocate democracy. And they have also created strong pressure for change. These movements generally adopted a specific color or flower as their symbol. The color revolutions are notable for the important role of non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and particularly student activists in organizing creative, non-violent resistance. Some people are not that smart, but let's look at these different colors and look at the revolutions. Again, I think the point has been missed. Now, in the same article, just scroll down the page and click on the list of the colored revolutions. In the Carnation Revolution in Portugal, 74, that was associated with the color carnation because carnations were worn during the event. The Yellow Revolution in the Philippines in 86, Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia in 89. You go down, you've got the Bulldozer Revolution in Yugoslavia, Rose Revolution in Georgia. You look at the dates. You can click on the titles. It'll give you a little more information about them. Orange Revolution. Then you get down to the Purple Revolution in Iraq. And this is where was what's throwing people off, I think. But it's called the Purple Revolution, was first used by some hopeful commentators. Who? The media. And later picked up by the United States President George W. Bush to describe the coming of democracy to Iraq following the 2005 Iraqi legislative election, and was intentionally used to draw the parallel with the Orange and Rose revolutions. You can read about those, but we don't have to go that deep in this video. However, the name Purple Revolution has not achieved widespread use in Iraq, the United States, or elsewhere. The name comes from the color the voters' index fingers were stained to prevent fraudulent multiple voting. It took time for that to wear off, and you couldn't come back and vote again. The term first appeared shortly after the January 2005 election in various web blogs and editorials of individuals supportive of the U.S. invasion of Iraq. Now, in 2005 is when the term was most popular, and it says that was used during the U.S. President George W. Bush on February 24, 2005, in the Slovak Republic for a summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Bush stated, "In recent times, we've witnessed landmark events in the history of liberty, a rose revolution in Georgia, an orange revolution in Ukraine, and now a purple revolution in Iraq." If any of that rings a bell, I hope it does. But guys, this was about the purple on the voter's finger. It has to do with preventing voter fraud. But we may have missed something. Let's back up just a moment. Now, no one from the Clinton side that I know of has responded to the media reports and the web reports of the Purple Revolution, because maybe it's a velvet revolution. If you look at the pictures of what they were wearing, then it's much closer to this color. But now, here's what's key. This was 1989 Czechoslovakia. Lasted from November 17th to December 29th. 1989, a peaceful demonstration by students, mostly from Charles University, were attacked by the police. Are you listening? And in time contributed to the collapse of the communist regime in Czechoslovakia. Let's read just a little more about this. If you just click on that title, Velvet Revolution, it says, or Gentle Revolution, but that's not the way it worked out. It was intended to be a nonviolent transition of power. The period of upheaval and transition took place from November 17th to December 29th, as we've said. Popular demonstrations against the one-party government of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia combined students and older dissidents. You can see on the picture on the right. The end result was the end of 41 years of a one-party rule in Czechoslovakia and the dismantling of the planned economy and conversion to a parliamentary republic. What happened? On November 17, 1989, the International Students' Day, riot police suppressed a student demonstration in Prague. The event sparked a series of demonstrations from November 19th to late December. By November 20th, the number of protesters assembled in Prague had grown from 200,000 the previous day to an estimated 500,000. A 2-hour general strike involving all citizens of Czechoslovakia was held on November 27th. On November 24th, the entire top leadership of the Communist Party, including General Secretary Miloš Žeks, resigned. Now, again, do you understand why I said you will appreciate, if this is what we're seeing, the patience that the police used? Everyone's not as dumb as they portray. And these the people that lead these major police departments, some of them are very intelligent. And they have talked about things like this possibly occurring. We knew there would be some riots and things, but was this a signal? Look at the color. Let's go back to the color on the chart, and let's look at the color of the pictures. Now, this is the image from the speech where she lost. Bill was crying in the back. And this is the speech, I think, where she talked about the fake media. Remember that video? But look at the color. The purple is much brighter, if we'll scan back down to it. And what I'm saying, they haven't responded to the report at all about this revolution. Nothing that I've seen about it again. And the reason, as I stated at the first, all the reports was one narrative. Every single one was the same, and it was leading away from possibly the thing in Iraq about the voter fraud, which we've heard that, and we've seen the recount. And then we saw the demonstrations. Let me pull this back down. And the patience of the police, and that could have created what they were trying to start. Let me move this again. It's kind of primitive. I'm just throwing this together because I'd seen a lot of information and I had a couple questions about it. I wanted to address it. But guys, it was a call. Remember that speech that we're seeing there? We don't give up. We will continue to fight. And the students immediately did everything in their power to bring the police down on them. And if that would have happened, they were hoping for what the same thing happened in the Velvet Revolution. It went from one day to 200,000 to the next day to 500,000 people. It led to a nationwide strike and the overthrow of the government. It's a heads up, guys. Be safe.